Lessons in Life from the Crazy Dutch Farmer. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Persohn. You can contact me at pastor@mascot.church. There are two kinds of crazy. There's a kind of crazy that might put oysters between the two pieces of an Oreo and say, if I eat them, aliens won't be able to find me. There's that kind of crazy. We've seen a bit of that. There's the other kind of crazy that you would attribute to someone who works really hard and presses really hard. Maybe an athlete, and you say, have you seen that guy's crazy workout? That crazy regime that he or she does or whatever? Or have you seen that guy's crazy performance on the racetrack or whatever? That's good crazy. That's, man, you are committed and you're making every one of us look foolish. And when I talk about the crazy Dutch farmer, it's good crazy. It's not the other kind of crazy. Well, as a young man, I had finished high school and needed a bit of a place to work, a bit of a place to land. And this gentleman who owned a dairy farm said that I could come and work for him for a period of time. Seemed like a good idea at the time. It seemed probably pretty easy. How hard could it be? Drive a tractor around a field a couple of times, lie back on the hay and play a banjo, which I don't play, but I'd listen to John Denver, Life on the Farm. It just seemed like that should be easy. The Crazy Dutch Farmer is, of course, as the name implies, Dutch, and the Dutch know how to work. No one knew how to work like this guy, though. Found out that he and his wife had just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary, so I hope you see this, and God bless you if you do. I remember this was the second week working there, and I was overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed. It was all too much. The Crazy Dutch Farmer had a temper, which we'll talk about in some sessions going forward, and I was completely completely outclassed. There's some funny stories coming up on this one. I went to him in the second week and I had had enough. And I was kind of teary. Yes, I can do that. And I said, Harry, man, I don't think this is for me. This is just too much. That's just too hard. I don't know how to drive these machines, and then you're always shouting at me, and I don't know how to you need to find someone else, basically. Of course, I expected him to say, all right, sonny boy, I'll get somebody else. You can go home. That's not what Harry did. That's not the way the Crazy Dutch Farmer behaves. Harry was a big guy, broad shoulders, big arms. Even at my very biggest when I was lifting, I wasn't as big as he was, just massive and strong and everything, huge back, and it just very daunting, and you knew who you were dealing with. You knew you were dealing with a real man who was going to tell you what to do. And so he stepped forward, and he wasn't too far from me. He had this scowl on his face. I will never forget it. I can't forget this. And he stuck his finger right up my face like this, and he said, listen. He said, I'm not letting you go. And he started to shout. He said, you need to persist. Just because things get difficult and you want to give up, that's not good enough. You have to stick at a thing. You've got to make it work. You've got to learn to persist. He said, I'm going to kick you, push you, drive you. I'm going to drag you. You will learn to persist. You're not going to leave. You're not going home to mommy. Folks, that was probably the best sermon anybody ever preached to me. It's what I needed. It changed me instantly. Well, it began a change that took a little while to settle in when I finally realized I couldn't escape. But I learned so much from that. Life is tough. Success belongs to people who persist, who kick at it morning, noon, and night, who don't stop and say, oh, well, I've had enough, who don't run away. Success belongs to people who delay gratification and put their feelings on the back burner. If you are a slave to your feelings, you will never master your destiny. If you're a slave to your feelings, you will never master your destiny. After I went to the mission field a couple of years later, there was a full room of equipment that needed to be repaired. That was what I did. I fixed electronic things. And it had piled up for some of it 2 years because the technician at the time was very unwell and he could only do what he could do. I worked my way through that entire room, fixed one thing after another, because I'd learned to persist. I stuck with it and did not quit. So life lesson number 1 from the crazy Dutch farmer is when you put your hand to the plow, don't look back. Persist, stay with it. There is a prize at the end if you do. In my next life lessons, I'm going to share quite a number of curious insights, some of which I think you'll find more than amusing. Anyways, this is number 1. Persist, stick it out. If you are a slave to your feelings, you will never be the master of your destiny. My name is Persohn. You can contact me at pastor@mascot.church or in the comments below if they're published when the video is on. God bless you. We will see you later.